What's going on, everybody? I'm David, and this is our family small shop, Mickey and Mandy. We're Disney adults that create custom bags, handmade home decor, and screen printed shirts inspired by everybody's favorite magical theme parks. And in this week's video, we have another installment of deep dives into some of the home decor that we have available on our shop. More specifically, the ones that I have on my backdrop behind me here. What makes our Disney home decor different? For one thing, it goes through a very rigorous process of just trying to figure out what part of the Disney parks am I going to yank this from. It has to be something that invokes some kind of an emotion. It has to be something that reminds me or our customers of a pleasant memory. It also just has to be iconic or just a little tip of the hat. Really no middle ground there. But after we decide where these pieces of home decor are going to come from in the parks, it goes through an even more difficult process of just figuring out what do we want this to look like? What are the colors of this sign going to be? How big is it going to be? What shape is it going to be? It's a lot that goes into this, which is honestly what makes the home decor such an excellent candidate for the deep dive series. So with that, let's talk about our first sign. We're gonna go with this guy here. This is our Sleepy Hollow Hearty Fare and Drink sign. This sign comes from a couple different places because I love the legend of Sleepy Hollow as a source material. I also love The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad as a Disney film. I feel like it is super underappreciated. But I also just love the quick service dining option at the Magic Kingdom. So it was all of those things that kind of made me think, I want something for that. I want something with a nod to the Headless Horseman and the legend of Sleepy Hollow. And if I can be honest, this did kind of give me an excuse to be able to buy my scroll saw, because with just like a standard table saw where I cut straight lines like on this sign here, can't really achieve the swoops and the half circle at the top there. So it gave me an excuse to buy a new toy. Sounds like my neighbor might be listening to Adventureland music while he's working outside, but I can't tell. And this sign actually ended up presenting a new challenge, because with the rectangular signs, we can just sort of cut out the stencil in that shape of the size of the rectangle and everything's fine. But this one, it had to be a little bit different, because I had to be able to trace the shape onto the piece of wood, but I still had to be able to have this kind of outline here. So this particular stencil ended up being two different layers, because it had to be big enough to be able to put onto a piece of wood, so that way I can trace the shape, but also so that way I can still adhere the stencil to the wood to paint it later. It was a lot of trial and error to get there, but the end product, I think, was absolutely fantastic. And it was actually me getting the scroll saw for this that allowed me to do other really cool things in the shape of our signs, like the Skipper Canteen sign that I have over there that I talked about in our last home decor deep dive video, and the Jock Lindsay's hanger bar sign that we have over there too. Moving right along to our next piece of home decor, this is our Pirates Ye Be Warned sign. So this sign actually came from a very deep love and appreciation for Pirates of the Caribbean, not just as a theme park attraction, but just as a franchise overall. I love Pirates of the Caribbean. It is a comfort franchise for me. I could sit down and watch 5 of them. Yes, I said it, all 5 of them. I will make jokes occasionally, but I will sit down and watch all 5 of them and be happy as a clam. But I also love that theme park attraction, and it felt criminal that we didn't have any Pirates of the Caribbean stuff on our website. So I was like, I'm gonna fix that. But I wanted something that was going to be a true testament to the legacy of Pirates of the Caribbean in pop culture, because it did start off as a theme park attraction, and we all know that it inspired the film franchise, and it also turned right back around and inspired the theme park attraction again by adding in some of our favorite characters from those films. So I tried to do the same thing. I tried to kind of marry these two different legacies of Pirates of the Caribbean for one piece of home decor. And that's where we get our Pirates Ye Be Warned sign. The Puerto Dorado on the top here, that is actually the name of the fort that the pirates are sacking in the theme park attraction. And then the Pirates Ye Be Warned sign down here, we all know at this point, this is the sign that we see hanging at the entrance to Port Royal in the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, where we meet Captain Jack Sparrow for the very first time. It's an iconic scene. So taking those two ideas, morphing them together, and making it just a little tattered, and making it this sort of washed and weathered, and it's just kind of hanging on by a thread. For mine, it's literally hanging on by a thread. Puerto Dorado, Pirates Ye Be Warned, perfect for Pirates of the Caribbean fans. Honestly, this is probably one of the few, kind of like our Sleepy Hollow sign, that might make a good piece of home decor for Halloween. Next piece of home decor, this is one that honestly, it probably gave me way more trouble than it should have, but this is our Living with the Land sign. So you'll notice with some of the home decor on our website that they are incredibly accurate to how they exist in the theme parks, kind of like our Sleepy Hollow sign, sort of like our Jock Lindsay's and Skipper Canteen sign. I didn't really want to do that same approach with our Living with the Land sign, because fans of Living with the Land will know that, for one thing, the sign is much bigger. It is more hot dog style as opposed to hamburger style. But the colors are just more bold. It's a darker shade of blue. It's a more bright yellow. Also, there's no green in there at all. And I really tried again and again and again and again, trying to find out, what am I going to make this sign look like? And it finally occurred to me that it should be something that somebody wants to hang in their garden, on a Four Seasons room, on a patio, something where things grow, things are green. So when I figured out what I wanted the layout of this sign to look like, figuring out the color scheme was easy. So it's making the yellow a little bit more faded, getting a much less aggressive shade of blue, and also just because we're trying to include that little Disney element here, that iconic Mickey topiary. Only with this sign will you be truly living with the land. And before I move on to our last piece of home decor, everybody, I do want to take this very quick opportunity to say, if you haven't checked out our family small shop yet, please do so. That's mickeyandmandy.com. My mom makes handmade, customizable bags like this Captain America backpack. I absolutely love this. I haven't gotten to sport this in the Disney parks yet, but I am going to our next Disney trip in May. My dad gets to make the home decor with me that you see behind me. My sister and I get to make screen printed shirts. We have an absolute blast. Disney is our love, creating is our passion, and we want to share that with you. So be sure to check us out. Again, that's mickeyandmandy.com. Now on with the show. Our last piece of home decor, I honestly think I saved the best for last year when I say Starport 7.5. It is a small list of signs that I legitimately had an absolute blast, just an unfiltered amount of joy creating. This is one of those signs. This belongs on that list. Because I love Space Mountain, I love Tomorrowland. If you don't believe me, go check out our Magic Kingdom must-do video. I go on and on and on about how awesome Tomorrowland is. And I mentioned at the beginning of this video that not only do our signs have to come from a very specific spot in the Disney parks, but they also have to invoke some sort of feeling or memory. And this sign does both of those very, very well. Because this particular sign comes from the very first thing that you see when you walk into the show building of Space Mountain. This is that giant screen that has the Space Mountain dome. It says Starport 7.5, Careen to the Cosmos on top of it. You can't miss it. And to me, that sight just means it is the end of the day at the Magic Kingdom. Your feet are tired. You're going to go back to the hotel and absolutely pass out. But dang it if you're not going to get one last ride on Space Mountain before you go. Maybe get some corn dog nuggets on your way out. And to me, that's what this sign means. That's what this represents. It means being bone tired, but you just had an awesome trip to Walt Disney World with your family and friends. And also, this one was just fun to create. Creating the design, no brainer. But trying to figure out how I was going to achieve that sort of nebula look in the background and all the stars and the galaxies, like how am I going to do that when I'm already trying to paint the sign black and I'm trying to figure out like the stenciling here? It became a bit of a challenge, but my second go of it, I just played with it a little bit with my blues and purples and pinks to get that base on there. So I actually did the black first, and then I take my blues, purples, and pinks to it to kind of create that nebulous background. And then I stencil the Starport and Space Mountain design over it. And then I take a paintbrush dipped in white paint, take it to a safe spot, and I just flick white paint all over it to achieve that star design. Hands down, one of my favorite signs, and again, had an absolute blast making it. Hear me when I say that I listened to all of the Star Tunnel music to get inspiration for where this sign was going to come from. And that's the last of the home decor that I have on my other backdrop here for filming Mickey and Mandy videos. These are available on my family small shop, mickeyandmandy.com. Again, we make handmade bags, screen printed shirts, handmade home decor. And if you need that website again, that's www.mickeyandmandy.com. And be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future product deep dives, and future Disney parks content. I mentioned it earlier, but we are going to Disney World later this year, so there is going to be lots of awesome content coming up about that trip. And you're going to get very special behind the scenes looks of how we create some of the products that we are actually going to be wearing in the parks for this trip. And also, if you're not already, be sure to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Threads so that way you don't miss out on new product drops and any awesome sales that we're going to end up running. But as always, everybody, we thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you real soon.